Hello friends, welcome back. So I decided to take this last year off to work on some house projects, but I am looking forward to continuing my story. Last time that I left off, I had just finished up a 5 month trip in Europe, and it was kind of more of a sport climbing trip. But I was able to sort of hone my direction in climbing that I wanted to go. I wanted to get on the bigger stuff. I had seen what was available to me in the French Alps, and I knew that I wanted to test my mettle and prove my manhood, and that wasn't going to happen, chasing the numbers doing sport climbing. And I had plateaued, and I was kind of burned out on it. So I had that in mind when I came back to Colorado from Europe, and started climbing with a group of old college buddies. And most of my friends were kind of more into the cragging scene, if anything at all. A lot of guys still didn't really even climb, so I was just trying to find anyone that was willing to go up with me. But I did talk a couple of friends into getting on some bigger stuff with me, and a couple of adventures stick out in my mind that I'd like to share. One is my first trip up the Diamond of Long's Peak. So at some point, I had come to learn that the Diamond was the climb to do in Colorado. Like, if you were going to call yourself a Colorado climber, you had to climb the Diamond of Long's Peak. It was like the test piece of the area. So one look at the Diamond, you realize why it's so famous. It's this 1,000 foot overhanging north facing wall, this cliff, with nothing but hard climbing on it, and it's right at 14,000 feet on the top of Long's Peak. And Long's Peak itself kind of sticks out to incoming weather. And the crazy thing about being on the Diamond is you can't see the weather coming in. Like, you'll be on the cliff, and then the weather is all of a sudden on top of you. And that was going to be a factor for this climb for sure, as you'll come to find out. So I talked my buddy and roommate Nick into heading up there to check this mountain out. Now, this was going to be something that was way over both of our heads and nothing we had ever experienced before, but we were full of optimism, and had a passion burning in my heart that I had to get on the bigger stuff, the harder stuff. I felt like time was a wasting. I was already 23 years old at that time. So we headed up there. The adventure started off right away. There was a climbing party above us, so as we were hiking up Mills Glacier to the base of the cliff, we started hearing the whistling of rocks, and it would just, like, rocks would explode in the snow next to us, coming from hundreds of feet above. So after, we had to play like a 20-second game of dodge rock and get out of the way. Finally, we got into the North Chimney. We were able to simul climb through that, get up to Broadway Ledge, which brings you to the base of the Diamond proper. So the climbing on the Diamond wasn't too bad. I had just gotten done with 5 months of 512 sport climbing, so it felt well within my ability. And we got through all the climbing all the way up to the top of the Diamond itself, and we were about to start hiking off to get up to the summit from Table Ledge. But of course, that storm came in. It was about 11:30, 12 o'clock, something like that. And in Rocky Mountain National Park, every day in the summer, you get these afternoon thunderstorms. So I could hear the thunder coming, and it sounded like a really big, scary one. So I dug in my backpack for my rain jacket, and to my dismay, I had no rain jacket. Who knows? I'd forgotten it. So here I was at the top of 1,000 foot cliff, lots of rappelling, with this huge storm coming in that was blindsiding us, and I was just in a long sleeve cotton shirt and shorts. So I was in trouble. So we started frantically setting up our rappels, and we got through the first rappel, and it just started dumping on us. I mean, lightning striking the mountain, and sleet, hail, snow, wind, the whole gamut of horrible, terrifying weather was pounding down on us. And my body just started immediately shutting down from hypothermia. I mean, it was freezing cold, and I was like in shorts, and I was just shivering uncontrollably. All my clothes were soaked. The rope was soaked, just dumping water all over me. And I'm trying to do all these rappels. So you have to keep resetting the rappel all the way down, because you have 1,000 feet of rappelling. So we got maybe through the third rappel, and I mean, my body was shutting down. I wasn't really shivering anymore. My brain was shutting down. My arms weren't able to move. My hand wasn't able to move. I was completely useless, and I could feel myself just getting into a situation where, like, I was gonna be dead soon. So my buddy Nick started helping me out. He put me on rappel. He would rig my device for me, and he would go down first, give me a fireman belay. But there was really nothing that he could do to, to save me. So got down to the after that third rappel or so, I knew there was no way I was going to make it to the bottom. So I was kind of panicked. I didn't know what I was going to do. And Nick found an overhang. So what happened next, he got into this overhang, was able to kind of climb up into it, found a little piece of webbing, clipped into it, and then I lowered down to the mouth of the cave, and then he pulled me up in there with him, clipped me into the little temporary anchor, and this at least got us out of the deluge. And he immediately got to work reviving me. So he took my cotton shirt off and put his rain jacket on me and just started rubbing my arms vigorously and bringing me back to life. Got to the point where I was able to start shivering again, and I just remember having like some panicked prayers in there, just, God save my life. And I wasn't in a place where I was really talking to God or understood anything about him. Like in my mind, he was still just this faceless, part of the religious structure that I had grown up with. And like, he didn't seem to be whatever. It was not at all a part of my life or my belief system. But anyways, interesting how when you're, close to death, how any of us will cry out to God for help, or most of us, I guess. Anyway, Nick dug in his backpack he had a pack of cigarettes in there. This was still back in the day when smoking was part of the culture, or the climbing culture, at least for us. So I started smoking cigarettes, and it was kind of interesting. Like, I could feel the hot smoke going into my lungs and warming me up from the inside out. So in a strange way, like these cigarettes sort of like were a part of my revival process. But we hung out in this cave for about 45 minutes, maybe an hour, and it just pounded on us. And it was interesting, like lightning was striking the mountain, and I remember, that it was right on top of us, but the amount of fear that I had for the lightning versus the amount of fear I had for the hypothermia I had been experiencing, it like paled in comparison. So it was almost like an afterthought that we had lightning so close. And on one of the lightning strikes, it actually triggered a rock avalanche, and like a whole bunch of rocks started pounding the roof of our cave and going on past us. And there was a climbing party below us, I guess, and they were like yelling up at us, thinking that we had just triggered some rocks on them. Found out later that one of the rocks had ricocheted and hit this guy in the face, and he was all messed up. So we thought a guy had just gotten killed, but found out later from another hiker that he had survived. But it was quite the epic experience. Finally, after about a good 45 minutes or so, the storm abated enough that we were able to get out of there. But it was feeling very lucky to have survived that one. So, and we continued on having several other adventures like that. And on the next video, I'll talk about my experience with an avalanche up on winter ascent of Gray's Peak. So, talk to you guys next time. Thanks.